All right. Thanks, Pastor. I think this is the second time that I preached this year, or the third time? This year, third time. Huh? Well, but it's ending. I don't think I have another opportunity to preach. Anyway, it is great to be up here again, even though we're very tremble heart, because every time I stand up here, I'm at awe, because I have to really ask God to give me His word and not my word. There is a very big tendency, I would say, for us men to always just go to myself than the God self. We moved 2 years ago. We moved to this place, not this place. We moved to the place that looked at this place. We moved from our house to a high-rise and looking at Herman Park. And every morning, I get to come down to the park to walk around the park for 3 miles, about an hour time. And that's where I do all my sermon preparation, Sunday school preparation, all my self-reflection to tell myself, what have I done right or wrong? It's a great place. It's a great time. To really have time, in the morning. I usually go out about 6:30 when it's still dark. And then when I finish walking, the sun is up. So I go from darkness to light. Right? Every morning I get reminded that I'm going from darkness to light. That's why I enjoy going out. Instead of going down, we have a gym downstairs that I can go to use the treadmill. But I like going outside to start walking in the dark. Besides, it's safer for me because as I get older, I sway. I like to just, I cannot stay walking straight line anymore. I hit, anyway. But in terms of reflection, thinking about what's happening in the world, the first thing that will come in mind will be what's happening in Israel versus Hamas, versus Hezbollah, versus Iran, and all this fighting going on in the Middle East. It's been going on there for probably thousands of years. And we don't even know how it's going to end. But it's getting worse. Right? And also, I think about the riot that we have in this country as we face in a few weeks. I hope everybody go out to vote in 3 weeks' time. The coming election is going to be critical to determine the direction of this country go, and also the influence of this country in the world. And we see now this country is going to riot-prone, violent-prone. Every day we hear how many schools have mass killing. We have hijacking of bus and bomb out the whole bus. This is the world that we're living in. And also, if we look at the morality of this world, this country and this world, this is the statistic of rape incidents in women. 81% of women in their lifetime got raped. Especially young. The younger the age group, there's more rape. 43% of men got raped also. So 50% of all marriage in this country end up in divorce. 50%. Even higher in China. If you go to China, China probably approach 70, 80% of the marriage end up in divorce. The family structure is, this is the world that we're living in. But on the other hand, it is the same world that Jesus is living in, back in Jesus' time. Back in 0 AD, 1 AD. No, because that's the time that the Roman Empire is expanding. The Jewish land, or the Palestine, is a province of the Roman Empire. And, Roman rule, Roman Greco culture permeate the land. The corruption, the immorality, and it's everything. It's just like we're facing today. And that is the background that Jesus sat down on the mount. So if you go to Israel to visit, make sure you go to Mount Olive to sit down and meditate on the place that Jesus gave the Sermon on the Mount. That's the background of when Jesus sat down to talk to the disciples. Remember, Pastor Roberts mentioned last time, Sermon on the Mount is not speaking to everyone. Jesus is not speaking to everyone. Jesus is speaking to his follower, to the believer, if we're using modern name term. Jesus is speaking to his follower and the believer. That means Jesus is speaking to Christians, if we go back, come down to our modern term. Jesus is telling them basically the second mission. The first mission of Jesus coming to the world is the salvation plan. The second mission of Jesus in the world is telling his believer how to behave. What is the character that his followers should have on earth to behave as he is children of the kingdom of God. That is the second mission of Jesus. And that's Sermon on the Mount. You're going to keep that in your mind when you listen to the sermon that's coming along in the next few weeks on Sermon on the Mount. Jesus is telling us how should we live in a chaotic world. How should we behave? And in a chaotic world. Now, in the world in Jesus' time, you had two worlds: the Roman world and then the Jewish world. In the land of Palestine, the Jewish population, or the Jews, the Judaism believer, they live under the Old Testament law. They live under the whole society is governed by the commandments, by the laws, whether it is sundry law, whatever law is described in Deuteronomy, and that's the societal rule. Right? And also, the leader are the Pharisees. We're the Pharisees. The Pharisees is the person who interprets the law and basically govern the life, the Jewish life. So, but how does the Pharisee interpret the law? And how do the people live? That's what Jesus is addressing here, actually in the Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus actually used, Jesus had mentioned that, I think Robert also mentioned it last time. Jesus clearly stated, I come not to abolish all the law that you have been living on. I come to make the law perfect, make the law complete, make the law fulfilled in Jesus' way. And Jesus actually used the Ten Commandments as an example of what he's talking about, completing the law. And he picked out two laws. Now, the passage that Pastor assigned for me to talk about today from 21 to 37 actually talk about 4 topics, but I don't think we have time to cover 4 topics. So I just pick out the 2 laws, which is, I think is very illustrative of Jesus' mind, what Jesus wanted to say about it. Law numbers, the 6th commandment, thou shalt not murder, or thou shalt not kill, whatever version we use. Commandment number 7, thou shalt not commit adultery. No. Jesus focused on this law. Now, the way that the Pharisee and the Jewish society interpret these 2 laws, how do they follow this law? They say, thou shalt not murder. So you are against this law if you murder somebody. What they look at, the Pharisees look at it, the action of committing murder, the action of killing. As long as you're not caught killing somebody, you are not against this law. Right? The only thing that they define is you get caught killing somebody, then you're against this commandment. The same thing with number 7. If you get caught on the bed committing adultery, then you commit adultery. It doesn't matter what you do behind the scene, in your room, in a hotel, or whatever. As long as you're not caught committing the act, then you're not committing adultery. That's, at that time, that's how the Pharisee interpreted it. Now, what Jesus said, that's a problem I have with this prompter. I cannot read. They're far away. What Jesus said is that about Lord commandment number 6. They said the old days said, thou shalt not murder. But what I'm telling you is that if you get angry at your brother, remember when you're going to go to the temple, go to the synagogue, go to the temple to offer your sacrifice, but then you remember you have something wrong. You have a cross, you have some crossing with your brothers. You get angry with them or put down your gift. If you're angry with your brother, you're against his law. That's what Jesus said. The same thing with number 7. The Lord said, the commandment said, thou shalt not commit adultery. But Jesus said, if you look at someone and have this desire of committing adultery, you already committed. That desire, that thinking in your mind, Jesus goes deeper than just like the Pharisee would like to do and act. So Jesus basically, he said, when I am not looking at the action, the outside action, I'm looking at behind. I want you to think about behind the action. What brought you to that action? Use anger as an example. When you anger your brothers and sisters, when you think about, basically in modern terms, if you say, you look at a woman, you are start undressing the woman, you're already committing adultery. The lust. Now, think about what is Jesus talking about? What is anger? If we come into more in the ground level, what is anger? Why do we get angry? Most of the time you get angry, you're angry because you're not getting you're not getting your way. People disagree with you. Right? I want to do this, and you don't agree with me. You're not getting your way. You're not getting what you want. I want a bigger share of this. I want a bigger piece of the pie, whatever. They get angry. Or you are not really coming to what I my suggestion of doing this, my way. Most of the time we get angry because we want to be my way or highway, not your way. We get angry. These are some of why we get angry. And the same thing, lust. What is lust? No. Lust is a very strong desire inside us to want to have things. Lust actually not, is more than sex, even though the most basic instinct of lust is sex. But lust actually is more than sex, because we have a strong desire for things. We greed for money. We greed for food. We are gluttonous. We want food. Yeah. But of course, the most basic instinct of lust is still sex. And that was what leading to adultery. Yeah. So, what is Jesus saying when Jesus, going from angry to murder, and from lust to adultery? This is pointing to, even though I said earlier about all this, we want and we're not getting, we get angry. But basically, all this, the anger, the lust, we could explain it by something. Now, as a doctor, we can explain that, there is a physical need. God created us with giving us sexual hormone. And the hormone drive our desire. Actually desire. And the hormone also makes us angry. And so we say, it's normal. Yes, this is normal. And sometimes people cannot control the anger, cannot control the lust, desire, because of brain damage. There is a problem. If you damage both sides of your temporal lobe, you cannot control your anger, and you cannot control your sexual desire. You cannot control your eating desire. You eat a lot. That's real. But what Jesus is pointing to is deeper. Deeper is pointing to just like his conversation. If we wanted, this conversation to the Pharisee, Jesus is pointing to what? He said, what come out of a person is what defines the person. But actually, we can say, in the Bible, you also define to make a person dirty. But we can go even deeper and say, what come out from a person is what define the person. Not only defile, but also define. It determines who you are, what you say, what come out. And all the evil thought, all sexual immorality, all come out from inside, from within. So, why we get angry, why we desire, all come from inside. Another time when Jesus talked to the Pharisee, so Matthew chapter 23 is a long discourse of Jesus talking to the Pharisee, or pointing out. So I think we should all go back and really read it. Jesus, in the same chapter, when Jesus talking about Pharisees, he said, Pharisees. Now, we don't have Pharisees today. We do not have Pharisees today. But we do have church leaders. We do have Christian leaders that, just like the Pharisee controlled the Jewish society, we have Christian leaders. We have all the even Christian political leaders and control. And Jesus said to the Pharisees, he said, you guys, you are like, you only wash outside. When you wash You only care about outside. You wash the outside, but inside the cup, you wash outside the cup, but inside the cup is full of dirt, full of dirt. You care about the outside of your tomb, beautiful whitewashed tomb. But don't forget, inside the tomb, you have all the bones, all the dead man's bones, everything. No. Jesus here to remind us is, don't just look at the outside. Just like the old Jewish society, when the Pharisees interpret the commandment, you commit killing, you get caught doing killing, then you commit against the commandment. You get caught in a bad doing adultery, but you don't care about what you're doing behind. But Jesus said, what inside you? Think about what's inside you. All the dirt, has to be removed. Otherwise, it will come out, and it will define you. It will defile you. It will define you also. So it's in the heart. Everything in your heart, whether your heart is clean or full of dirt, it's in your heart, and it's going to come out. Now, the psychiatrist, Jesus mentioned the heart here. The psychiatrist will call it ego. The famous psychiatrist Sigmund Freud, the whole theory and psychoanalysis is building on that concept. It's the ego. It's it. Everything is, but it's very true if you think about it. Our behavior is dictated by our ego. Even Chinese characters, see there all the time. Word like angry, fat low, like han. All side with the heart. The circle that I have is a heart. Sex, desire, love, also have a heart in there. Especially love, the heart is right in the middle. So the Chinese, even the guy who created Chinese character 1,000 years ago, already know all these feelings come from the heart. So, what is Jesus saying here? How do we deal with anger and lust? Well, Jesus said, if you are on the way to the temple, you are on the way to the synagogue, you remember you cross your brother, you're angry at your brother, don't go there yet. Put down your stuff, go to your brother, go to your sister, mend that cross, mend that, mend the anger before you go. And if before you commit adultery, think about it. If it's your eye that's causing you to lust, if it's a hand that causes you to lust, cut that out. So Jesus say, first, forgive your brothers and sisters first. Do forgive. Or cut out the cause of the action. If the eye is leading to your action, take out your eye. But is it possible to do that? Cut out your eye that will lead you to lust. Cut out your hand. That you're going to do the touchings and do it. Can you do that? Paul actually reminded us. The flesh and the spirit, God's will and flesh, is in constant fighting. It's in a constant battle. Oh, sorry. This is what I already when I talk about it. But Paul reminded us in the book of Galatians is the flesh and the spirit is in constant battle. And the flesh, because it's going on whatever inside us. And the spirit is what God wants us to do. Do right or do wrong, it's in constant battle. The Buddha say, well, this battle, we can win this battle. We can win this battle of flesh and become spiritual by self-control, by practicing, get to the point of no self. The high point of Buddhism to be no self. Humble, to be forgiving. Even the Bible said many of these. It's the same thing. Self-control, no self, humble, forgiving. You can find it also in the Proverbs. You can find this all in Paul's teaching. The challenge is, can we do it? And most of the time, we do it in some degree in the external sense. We can behave humble. We can keep our mouth shut for some degree until we explode. And then, be careful this afternoon when we have, sometimes we explode. You can hold. We can try to forgive somebody. But if you don't get to the understanding that why, what happened, or you do not get to the point of forgetting what had happened, forgive and forget. You're really not truly forgiving. Okay, no. That's the problem with Buddhism. Buddhism says, do this yourself. Empty yourself. But when you empty yourself, there's, without any help, just like Paul said, this is a constant battle of flesh and the spirit. Most of the time, the flesh overcomes the spirit. Unless you get to the point of what Paul said. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed, renewing of your mind and your heart in Chinese translation. What Paul is saying here is basically one step ahead of Buddhism. You need to, in order not to conform to this world, you need to do a surgical operation of your heart. You need to take out your heart, your old heart, and put a new heart in there. You need to be transformed. Paul goes one step further. What do you mean by being transformed? Being transformed is take out your old self. I said, perform a surgical operation in your heart. Take out your old self. We get a new heart, a renewal of your spirit, of your mind. Basically, not only a surgical operation on your heart, but on your brain also. Take out your brain, take out your heart. Put Jesus' heart, put Jesus' brain in you. That's the new self. That's the new self. You have to get to the point that you have Jesus' heart, you have Jesus' brain. Jesus permeates in your life. In the psychiatrist term, Jesus becomes your subconscious. Jesus becomes your it. Jesus becomes your ego. Everything Jesus tells you to do is come out spontaneously, not with a whole lot of control, but just come out because Jesus' heart is in you and permeate. This is the only way we can do that. Let Jesus permeate. I like the word permeate. That's a science word. Permeate in you. Become you. That's basically what Paul is saying. Renew your heart, renew your mind with a new heart. So one thing I do, I'm going to end here. One thing I do in the morning walk is think about the Lord's Prayer. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus taught us how to pray, and that's the Lord's Prayer. I think the Lord's, the Anglican worship almost always end in the Lord's Prayer. Because it is a really a good reminder of us Christians, how should we behave in this world, in the chaotic world? Because we ask God, we ask, God, thy kingdom come, your kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as is in heaven. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as is in heaven. This is us, Christians. We are the representative of the kingdom of God in heaven, on earth. Remember, we are the representative of God, of Jesus' kingdom on earth. Thy will be done, your will. What you want to tell us, what you tell us, be done on earth. Now, on earth, as is in heaven. The other one, the other. Forgive our trespasses, but as we forgive others trespass against us. Yeah, thou shalt not murder. Every day we must forgive. God will forgive our trespasses if we forgive others trespass against us. From honor, every day we remind that. Then we'll get to for thy, the kingdom, the power, and the glory. Every day, remind. Thank you.